Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Brian. I'm bored, and I saw a video today that I wanted to just kind of do, I guess, a response to. And I don't really do these too often, so I guess this is going to be my clickbait video for the month or the year, I suppose. I really need to get hot on more YouTubes. So, Nicholas Mueller, Git creator. I follow a lot of his books, and I'm still waiting on my PDFs. So give me my PDFs so I can read your stuff. Uh, Nick Mueller put out like this video. Are comics dead? And I just want to respond to like not the whole video, but just like part of his thoughts as he like goes through and gives some things. So let's just hit play.
Things I wanted to talk about, and I think maybe a lot of you will agree with my thoughts, my ideas, and maybe we can hold a conversation here. So I found this. It's a guy from Clownfish TV, and I just, whether you guys like, hate that thing, I don't care. This isn't the point of the video.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether or not you like another creator should never be the point of videos. I don't even know why I'm commenting on that. I'm just doing that thing where you just stop and pause and make a comment. But Neon, Geeky Sparkles, and the whole Clownfish crew, they used to do a lot of mainstream comics and Star Wars news. They mostly do like Disney stuff and just social media stuff. It's a good channel. Check it out. Sub to those guys. But this is something. This quote here. We don't cover the mainstream comic book industry or Star Wars much on YouTube anymore because nobody cares. Apathy is worse than hate. And I understand where they're coming from on this. A lot of mainstream books have actually this is supposed to be a response to Nick, but I'm just gonna get this through anyway. So I'm terrible. But terrible. So mainstream comic books, Marvel, DC, I don't read them. I haven't read them in years. Outside of a very few runs, are like, oh hey, this idea seems interesting. Like Superior Spider-Man. That's the one I can go back to. Or I go back to like, oh, always wanted to read Gen 13. I never read that run as a kid. So I go back and read those runs. Or if I hear about something that's kind of gnarly, like, oh, Bomb Queen from Image. Go check that out if you are sadistic like I am. But a lot of mainstream comic books, I think Marvel DC haven't done themselves a favor with the whole death. Basically, if you kill off a character, they should stay dead, but they've been on like, oh, we're gonna kill this person off, and then they'll be back in like 5 or 6 years. How many times has Tony Stark died? And I realize that, this is just a gimmick so they can sell books. We all know it's just a gimmick these days, just like with events. Events are just a gimmick to sell the tie-ins and on top of like the variant cover scheme. So I think a lot of people these days with the economy taking a shit have just found that, hey, you know what? This is really not worth my time and money. So if I'm going to spend my time and money on something, I'm going to buy Chainsaw Man, which has an anime out. And I know Purchase said this before, if you have like a movie or anime that's out and that gets interest in the book, and then you go pick up the book and the characters in the book don't look like what you saw on TV, that's not good. But with anime and manga, the draw and the reason why they do so well versus Western comics is, hey, you go watch the Chainsaw Man anime, go pick up the manga. It may not be beat for beat because it's an adaptation, but it's very damn close. The characters aren't changed, they're not race swaps. It might be like you might get like a different ending. I know a couple animes have done like different endings, like Promise Neverland did a different endings, and in some cases they took out a whole different arc. But you see, like when they do that, the like the fan base just kind of drops off. So anyway, back to Nick. My internet sucks. Speak,
I just
Nick.
wanted to take a particular statement from here and touch upon it because I thought it was really interesting. I want to talk about it from even a creative standpoint, business standpoint. What are we looking at right now? Because I think we're in a spot right now where we're losing a lot of ground in the comic industry. It's not what it used to be. It's not even what it used to be 5 years ago. Um, get rid of all the culture war talk. Let's just talk about it from a purely analytical point of view. What do things look like right now? What do the customers want? Who is buying comics, and what are they buying? What does it look like right?
Who is buying comics these days? Mostly, I would say it's the spec crowd and those like really diehard collectors. Who was that? Not too long ago on Twitter. The guy, Doc, who's like a frequent co-host on Thinking Critical. He actually decided, like, you know what? I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm quitting Marvel. I'm quitting DC. I'm quitting collecting. This is not worth my time and money. And Nick is going to touch upon like a few reasons why, but it's really just a really niche, hardcore crowd that's actually buying Western comics these days, or at least continuing to buy. It's pretty wacky, but let's continue.
Right now. So he says for their show mainly, he says, we don't cover the mainstream comic book industry or Star Wars much on YouTube anymore because nobody cares. Apathy is worse than hate. And, that really hit me. This just showed up on my feed on Twitter, and I couldn't help but keep thinking. I've been thinking about this for like the last 5 days. Comics are something I love. It's something I love jumping into. I love superhero comics, especially. I used to love grabbing Batman, Spider-Man, and reading all those books. And it really hasn't been until this last year, especially, that I realized how apathetic I am to the whole entire comic book business, the comic books. I don't care what's being published right now, and there's nothing that's holding me there.
I don't care what's being published right now. And I know he's talking about mainstream, so taking it into context, yeah. Why should you care? Batman, Spider-Man, the two big examples I always use, and even he just spit them out right now. Batman and Spider-Man. What's the point? When is the story going to end? When is it going to go anywhere? Is Peter ever going to get his happy ending with Mary Jane? Is he ever going to... Is Bruce ever going to, like, not fight the Joker? Right now, I believe Spider-Man's story arc is they're redoing a variation on Maximum Carnage. And I believe he is fighting Venom again. Which isn't a problem, but the problem is, like, how many times are you going to fight the same people over and over and over again? Like, imagine if Dragon Ball just did the Saiyan saga over and over and over again. How invested would you be? I mean, yes, Dragon Ball does have, like, some annoying power creep from time to time. And, yeah, they do resurrect people. But it's within, like, the context of their universe. They have, wished the moon back. They would, you wish other things back. You wish entire universes back. But, within the context of the universe, it works, but the story still moves on. Frieza only got wished back for the Tournament of Power, but even then, Frieza came back with a new power. And, they fought, blah, blah, blah. So it's just kind of like not the same, Doc Ock, I have this plan, and it's this very convoluted plan to finally defeat Spider-Man, and you beat him up, put him back in jail at the end. Same with Joker. Joker's gonna kidnap or hurt Batman by kidnapping Robin again, beating Robin to death, killing somebody close to him, whether it's Alfred or somebody, and they're gonna fight, and then, the end. But, that story's gonna get revisited 5 or 6, maybe even 10 years later, so... it's frustrating. I digress.
Nothing that is making me feel like, yeah, these stories matter. I'm feeling rewarded for continuing my business with a lot of this. And it's something that's been going on. We have a real issue in the Western side of mainstream, and I'm talking about the big two, mainstream comics, where the stories don't have any ramifications. They don't hold any weight anymore. The consequences, the setups easily are gone and out the window. 6 months, a year from now, we used to have events that would maybe tie things up or restart. I was kind of determined that an event level, like an Infinite Crisis or Identity Crisis, I forget what they're called, would be the ending point of one version, and then we'd start with a new version. Like, when we went into the 52, hey, I considered the pre-crisis Batman, that world, all completely one version, and that end of the story, you could tie it into the Frank Miller. You're always being told, come up with your own headcanon for this sort of stuff. But it really got me thinking, though, of sales, numbers, who's coming in, how are we buying? But it really hit me when he used the word apathetic is worse than hate. You can jump on Twitter and see people hate talking all the time, talking about, oh, I hate this, what they've done with this. Oh, this.
Oh man, the Twitter, comic book Twitter is always talking about, oh, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this, I hate that. You really, very rarely, at least on my Twitter feed, I very rarely see people say like, hey, here's some books I'm reading and enjoying. Check out these guys. But yeah, even if you hate something, at least you're still talking about it.
I hate doing this, or, and even then, you don't really see a lot of people talking about what they really like about current things. And it really hit me because I'm kind of apathetic. I love comics. I love Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, and I haven't really been keeping up with it. I'm sort of apathetic to the whole thing. I don't mind Don Cates' run on Venom and that stuff. It's just become all too boring, or I'm desensitized to it all. I just know that at the end of the day, this is really going to hold any weight. I'm not excited about what's going to happen to these guys or where they're going next.
Yep, and that's kind of it. That's kind of it for like Western comics. You just, at the end of the day, whether or not you like Chip Zdarsky's run or whoever's run on whatever Western book, whether it be Batman, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Superman, whatever, at the end of the day, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to, keep going in this endless circle. And that's kind of like where I've always been at with Western comics. But I think, speaking on this, we're just beating a dead horse. There was something else that he said that I just wanted to touch on. Let me just find it. I think it was about here.
Industry dying. No, I think it's changing. I think it's evolving. And this is where I think we need to look next, because if you are only maintaining a view on the mainstream, the big two, you're missing out on so many other wonderful books that are currently hitting, not the comic shelves, but hitting Kickstarter, hitting crowdfunding, hitting people's personal sites. I'm talking about independent comics. There is a renaissance.
Yes, independent comics and manga is actually where I believe we're at these days. There's the problem with them, though, and Nick's going to hit on this later, but in order for indies to get off the ground, they really need to build a following. They really need to look at more than just one platform and doing things. And, if you cater to one audience, then you've just pigeonholed yourself and backed yourself into a corner doing a thing. I've fallen victim to this too. So I'm constantly trying to reinvent the wheel to figure out my way out of the hole I just dug myself into. But I digress. He's about to make his big point. I don't want to interrupt it, but I just wanted to get to this portion of the video, which I found like very, very interesting.
Right now going on. Those are the places that are actually holding my interest right now, is manga and independent comics. There are some of the best stories I have been reading right now that still hold many of the same themes, ideas, things that I wish I could be seeing out of the mainstream right now. And there's so many cool books right now that I'm diving into. But again, the only issue we have is they're not coming out as consistently or fast enough as what you would get in the mainstream. Mainstream, you're once a month. Manga, you're every week, or or if you're in volumes, then it's every 3 months or so. There's a consistency. There's a schedule to it. With independent, the biggest gripe I have is there's no consistency. You don't always know when something's going to come out.
Okay, because like I've been in this hole before. The problem is with indies right now, the consistency, yes, it's wild. It's all over the place depending on the team you have. And what this all boils down to is funding, support, logistics, all these things. Most indie creators are kind of one man teams, 2-man teams at that. And if you don't have like the support and backing there, it gets pretty hard. There are people out there who are what did Tyler call them, trade waiters. I mean, it's fine to be the person like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for the whole run of this thing to come out. But keep in mind too, if you're into like indie comics and you see like a creator shilling their Kickstarter, shilling whatever new work they're going off of, it's not just because, you know, they have an infinite amount of money and they can just, you know, keep making books. Like, no, they're shilling it because, you know, they need money to make the next thing. So as you wait on the trades and as you wait on, you know, them to finish their whole entire run before you get into a thing, just remember, you know, if there's like no continuance of this, you didn't support it. It's kind of like those, in the same vein of the people who like pirate their favorite comics and never buy it and then wonder why they get canceled. So yes, indies do have a problem with, you know, trying to stay consistent and trying to keep things going, but there's just so many issues that you run into. Like, unless you have a lot of backing and you can afford to keep a consistent schedule, it's kind of, it's really hard, you know. There's always going to be something that runs in your way, whether it's shipping, printing, you know, your colorist doesn't turn in stuff on time, your letterer just decides he's going to go on a 9-month vacation, you know, things like that. Mainstream, it's a little bit more of a machine, if you will. But anyway, those are just my thoughts, my response. I don't think comic books are dead. I do think that, you know, mainstream stuff is just, it needs overhaul, and it needs to look at manga in order to figure out what it needs to do and it could do right or do better. For indies, I think, you know, man, it's just, being an indie out there, it's so brutal. Every time you turn around, there's drama based off of something stupid. And it's not even like good, legitimate drama. It's, oh, this guy sold stickers. This guy said a mean thing. This guy is on the side of a group I don't like. It's just always something. It's always just draining. It really just sucks the fun out of creating too. But I digress. What are your thoughts? Is Nick right? You know, are comic books dead? How do you feel? I know how I feel. Please hit the like and subscribe, and I don't know, maybe I just ranted too much, but that's how I feel about things. Y'all take care now. See you later.